Hello, hello, Aldwyn Altuney here. Welcome to Media Queen TV. We have the amazing Susan Bibby with us today, and we are celebrating the launch of Release the Shackles, which is the first co-author book that VBM Publishing has put out. Congratulations, Susan. So exciting. And welcome.
Is. Thank you so much, Aldwyn. Thank you so much. It has been a mammoth effort to get here, and I'm so proud of the publication that we've been able to put together. It's such an exciting time for us all.
It's such a big job putting out a compilation book like this, dealing with 17 authors, all with different backgrounds, etc. Now, what was it that inspired you to do this compilation book?
Yeah, so there's a bit of a story behind it. I was a nurse for nearly 30 years. And being a nurse, I was privileged to be a part of lots and lots of people's stories. So I'd meet people from all walks of life, and I'd listen to their stories, where they come from, what they're doing, what they've done differently, and how they've got through that. So I've always had that interest in stories. And through a few changes, I suppose, in the beginning of COVID, I reflected on what my passion was. And my passion is all about writing and people's stories. So then I looked into what could I do that was more about my passion. And I started learning about publishing and learning about writing. And I was in my own multi-author book with other people. I joined a few multi-author books and learned a bit about the process, and I decided that this was something I was really passionate about, and I wanted to create a platform for people to share their stories, because there's so many powerful stories out there that are just not shared, not told, and there needs to be more of that out there, and more people, I suppose, given permission to live their truth.
So true. And, a lot of people think about doing a book, but doing a whole book versus doing a chapter is quite a different kettle of fish. And, what I love about the co-author books is often, you just have to do your chapter and then you look after the rest as the publisher. And there is quite a lot, isn't there, in a co-author book to organize. So what are some of the pieces that you put together behind the scenes that the co-authors don't need to worry about to actually help get this book out?
So it's about, I suppose, looking at the theme first off and ensuring that the authors we attract into the project all, I was going to say, all have their own unique story, but are able to blend together to create a theme for the whole book, so that things flow, so that the stories match and relate to each other. And then there's about editing, of course, which is a huge aspect, and creating the formatting so that the placing of each story occurs in a way where they flow as well. So it's a lot of matching, a lot of ensuring that the right thing happens at the right time, and a lot of technical stuff around, ensuring that I suppose all the I's are dotted and that sort of stuff as well. So the editing is a really huge project. We've got to make sure that legal things are considered, that we're not plagiarizing it anyway, that we're checking all of those possible implications and copyrights and all of that sort of stuff as well. So there's a lot behind the scenes that the authors don't need to worry about at all.
Amazing. And it is live, of course, today on Amazon, and people can get it for just 99 cents for 24 hours only. 99 cents Australian, which is an absolute bargain. And all the proceeds too go to Broken to Brilliant. Can you share a bit about Broken to Brilliant as well? Put that in the chat.
So Broken to Brilliant is a charity that works with domestic violence, and they have a charity shop. They do a lot of events, and they also they have their own books that they produce as well. But they're one of the strong themes in our book is all around trauma to triumph, and releasing the shackles around that shame of being broken or having something happen to us. And that charity just fitted just so beautifully with the stories of all the women that are in the book. So it's a really powerful charity.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And as a nurse, you said you heard lots of stories. I'm really curious, was there a common theme that you often found that people ended up in hospital or people ended up sick? Was there a common theme of stories that you found across the board?
A lot of people bottle up things. Like, don't feel that they are able to share their truth. Don't feel that they're able to tell the story of what went on or how they were wronged or something scenario. There's lots and lots of different ways that people are wronged and that trauma occurs. And people feel that they don't have the right to speak about it. So they bottle it up. They bottle it up and it festers and develops into illness. And that can come out in so many different ways. I mean, one of the most obvious ways is later in life in dementia. We see a lot of past traumas coming out through dementia, but also in cancers and a lot of other illnesses. If we don't work through our traumas and our experiences and actually feel the feelings, then it comes through in illness, and our health is what pays for that. So that was a really common theme. People bottling up because they didn't want to feel judged, they didn't want to feel the shame, they didn't want to feel broken or damaged or all of those things. Don't want people to feel sorry for them, don't want people, and so they wouldn't speak up and they just bottle it up. And as we know, anything that you don't deal with, it just grows. And as it grows, it develops into things that you don't like and that you can't predict when it's going to explode.
So true. And your body tells you, doesn't it? Your body tells you all the time. And they say that, we're either hit with a feather or a brick or a Mack truck in life, So you get a little warning sometimes with a feather. If you don't listen to the feather, then you get the brick in the face. And if you don't learn from the brick, then you'll get the Mack truck running you over. There's a great book, of course, by Louise Hay called Heal Your Life. And it talks about the emotional link with illness or disease and your body. So, all these things teach us things, and there's often emotional things tied in with illness. So, listen into that. What is that, right? What is that? And I think it's good sometimes to get sick because we do need some downtime sometimes, We need downtime. And I know for myself, I often go, and then collapse. And just the last 24 hours, I've come down with a bit of a flu. And, it's okay. It's not COVID, so we're all good. But, this can happen. And it's your body telling you to slow down and take a rest, So tune into that. Now, you've got 17 extraordinary women here, Susan, who are in the book. Can you share some of the stories of some of the ladies or who the authors are, firstly? Can we share who the authors are?
We've got 17 authors, and they range from different countries around the world as well as completely different backgrounds. So Angelique, she's a coach around relationships and women's empowerment. Susie, she's a cancer survivor, and she's also an amazing personal trainer and women's empowerment coach as well. Sherri, who she works with carers. So she's over in the US, and she founds a caring group for caring for carers. Carolyn, again, she's got a beautiful story. She works a lot in energies, and she's had some great transitions during this year. I would just say with the book, birthing a book is like birthing a baby or birthing a village or all of those things. Every single author who contributed a chapter to this book had to go through another layer of healing, another layer of growth, and another layer of working through who they are and what their message was about. And it was just so powerful for every single author. They've all gone through a huge transition during that process. The writing process is so cathartic, and it just brings out next level healing. And that in itself has been incredibly powerful, just being part of that process and watching these women just glow to that next level. And I'm just watching people's businesses just explode because they're stepping more into their truth and stepping more into where their strengths are and sharing their message from what they've, I suppose, taking ownership of what they've learned through what they've been through. So who else have I got? Justine, amazing story, incredible artist, and you'll just have to read more about her. She is incredible story. Charlotte, again, she's a coach, and she talks a lot about mental illness and how misunderstood mental illness is in our world. Samantha J, very powerful. empress and coach, business coach and spiritual coach. Aldwyn, of course.
Yeah.
Yep, Angie has a lovely story about her daughter passing away and what she did with that what she learnt during that process, and that's just the most beautiful tribute to her daughter. Kim, another amazing story of transition and growth through trauma to triumph. She's had lots of changes and challenges in her life, and she's just incredibly, I was going to say, creative, and the way that she writes is just so, I was going to say, comically beautiful. It's just so relatable. Nicole, again, another fantastic story of trauma to triumph. Meredith, so her story is escaping abuse, and I was going to say there's actually quite a few stories in amongst that are escaping abuse. And when you make those hard choices, and how you make those hard choices in those times of trauma, and in those times where you don't know how you're going to get out of that situation and what you do, and that's where you find your absolute innate strength, that you do things that you don't think you ever thought you were capable of, and just sharing that and showing others that they're not alone when they go through those periods too, that, you know, I got through it and someone else can get through it too. Again, another, I'm going through, so Sharon, another story of escaping abuse in a world of abuse. And Danielle, her story is absolutely so important. It's another medical story of not being treated well in the medical world and being misdiagnosed and not being fairly treated, but what she did with that and how she's exposing what's really important about women's health and why women need to speak up more. Her story is just incredibly powerful with what she's done, with what she's been through, as are all of the stories. And I was going to say, and there's Carmela, again, another story of escaping a really traumatic part of her life and part of her world, along with Sandie. Sandie's had some really beautiful supports around her, and she writes a tribute to her grandfather as he inspired her to move through what she needed to move through as well. So Aldwyn, did you want to tell a little bit about your contribution to the story?
Yeah, so mine covers how I went from depressed and suicidal in my teenage years to inspiring truth and good news now. I was brought up first-generation Australian with Greek, Turkish and Ukrainian heritage, and then I found the media as a great way to create change, to help make a difference in the world. I thought if I can inspire just one person with putting a story out, then it's worth putting that story out. So I grew a fascination for the media from a very young age, and then did a media degree, and I've worked in the media now for over 30 years, inspiring truth and good news. So that's a bit about my story. What about yours, Susan?
Yeah, so my story, I was going to say, lived a picture perfect world from the outside. And from the outside, I seemed to be this high achiever who was always trying really hard, but I felt never good enough within. I felt like every time I would say something, do something, my truth would be questioned, and so I didn't know what to do. So I went through some scenarios, which you'll read about in the book, which will show you why I became very quiet and why I became to a point where I questioned also what was right and wrong in the world, and then what I did about that from a very young age, and how I worked through that to be who I am now, where I don't really be quiet and I speak up, and I find it so important not to brush things under the carpet. And I think that one of the biggest issues that I was going to say within my families and many families is that we don't talk about that. Let's pretend this didn't happen. No, that wasn't how it is. You're remembering it wrong. All of that gaslighting.
Yes.
That's not helpful in healing, and it just perpetuates that cycle. I'm very much for changing the cycle, cutting the cycle, stopping the cycle, all of those sorts of things, and exposing the truth so that it's at a point where you can't do anything about it. You can't avoid it anymore. You know, I grew up in a world where things were brushed under the carpet. We were very important to be presented in a certain way and present a certain image to the world, and anything that differed from how we were meant to look or how we were meant to be was not to be discussed or spoken of ever. Right now, the world is going through a full moon, and the full moon, and I was going to say, even the entire 2021 has all been about endings, and it's been shattering the way of the world that we've lived in, and shattering the cover-ups that we've been blinded to, shattering everything that we've known. And why it's so important that this book be released now is this final full moon is all about finally severing all of those lies, finally severing all of those shackles that were holding us back from being who we are, and preventing us to move into a new way of life where those sorts of things are just not commonplace anymore. It went too far where we didn't talk about things and we pretended they didn't exist, and they just went absolutely rife. So this book is just so amazingly timely, how everything unfolds how it's meant to, where this full moon that's happening right now is the most powerful full moon for finally releasing the shackles and releasing the past and releasing all of that shame and releasing everything that's holding us back. And so we're releasing this book at this perfect time.
Yes, I love it. And it is an absolutely stunning full moon. I was actually looking at the full moon last night. It was absolutely spectacular. It had a ring of orange around it. It was almost like an eclipse moon. It was absolutely beautiful. So very, very powerful. The last full moon for the year for 2021 as well. And I love what you say too about, bottling things up. So many people bottle things up because they feel that they shouldn't say something, or that, they just, I can't look at that. It's like things around animal cruelty, right? People say, I can't watch that, right? I can't deal with that. And so people prefer to believe the lies than actually research and find out more beyond the surface of what's going on. And there's a great saying, what you resist persists. And it certainly shows up in your body. What you resist persists. So what are you resisting in your life, and what haven't you been honest about with yourself and others? Now coming up to Christmas is a great time to perhaps have those conversations with people where, if you've been bottling up any resentment or any anger, which are very low vibrations, you're going to affect your own health and the health of those around you. And just in one conversation, you can have amazing healing in just having those conversations that you've been too scared to have, and it could start out like this. It could start out, hey, there's something I've been wanting to tell you for a while that I haven't shared with you. Is it okay if I share with you? And then just start it like that and just share what's on your mind without making people wrong. Just share how you're feeling about something. Because sometimes people say things and they don't mean to harm other people, but the way we interpret what people have said sometimes, is what can cause a lot of issues. So, have those conversations. I encourage you over Christmas, over this festive season, whether your family are there in person with you, or if they're a phone call away or a video call away, do what it takes. It can really release a lot of burdens and make you feel so peaceful after you have that conversation. I just want to say hello here to Yusufa. Hello, Yusufa. Nice to see you. And we've got James here. How are you doing? Hello, James. We're doing well here. Thank you so much. Let us know, where are you coming to us from? Where are you watching this from, those watching live? Great to see you. And what are you grateful for today? Let's get into some gratitude here. I'm so grateful for you, Susan, to have an opportunity to be in this book, to share my story. And, I love compilation books. I'm actually in about 14 compilation books. I've lost count now. I love them. I think they are just so incredibly powerful. Like you say, it's like putting a baby out. It's like creating a baby together. And talking of babies, you actually have 3 babies, and that's linked in with your name, right? So could you explain what VBM Publishing stands for?
Yep. So VBM Publishing comes from my 3 daughters' names: Verity, Bridget, and Matilda. And Verity is all about the truth. The meaning of the name Verity is all about the truth. And so I'm very passionate about sharing the truth. And I know that we all have our own versions of the truth, of what our truth is. And that's really important, that we be able to step into that and own our truth. Bridget and Matilda are very strong names around being fierce warriors and being strong and not being afraid, not being fearful, and not being, I was going to say, shrinking down, avoiding the consequences. Both of those names are very much around being really strong and a warrior and that sort of stuff. So VBM Publishing is about not being afraid to share the truth and creating that platform where it's a safe space to be who you are. So that's the passion behind BBM Publishing, is my three girls. So my three girls very much embody those values. They will tell you exactly how it is, and they will tell you exactly who they want to be when they want to be that person right now. And they're all very strong and independent and inspire me and challenge me every single day. And that's the way they should be.
I love that. And the crows were going off in the background here. It's just so funny because, you know, they say animals come in for a reason at certain times in our life to teach us certain things. And crows are certainly a bird that do not have any trouble speaking up. they definitely have their voice be heard.
Yeah.
So it's just perfect that a crow came in the background as you're sharing that. And, you know, having done the book to Release the Shackles, everyone in the book, all the authors have now released their story, right? They've had some healing in actually sharing their story, which is a beautiful thing. So that's a fantastic gift, Susan, that you've given all the authors to be able to share their gift and create this extra baby. Now you got 4 babies, this extra baby now all together, which is just so wonderful. I really congratulate you. And it is a beautiful cover as well for the book. So if you look up online, you will see Release the Shackles. I put a few links here in the chat where you can purchase as well. And, you know, Broken to Brilliant, we mentioned, is the charity that the funds are going to, Broken to Brilliant. So today you can get your book for just 99 cents. It's launch day today. So exciting. And all over the world, there's different Amazon links where you can purchase. We've got here the Australian link. We've got all the different links here. So if you have a look through Germany, France, Spain, Italy, there's a whole lot of places, Japan. So have a look through the comments and you'll see those. If you can't see them right now in the comments, we'll make sure at the end of this interview that all those links are in the comments wherever you're watching this, on Facebook or on YouTube. So exciting, Susan. And this has been quite a journey for you. It's taken quite some time, hasn't it, to put this book out? How long have you been working on this one?
12 months. So this has been a labor of love.
Yes.
Absolutely. It has been a 12-month process. It is definitely, I was going to say, because of the title and the theme of this book, it wasn't something that you could push through quicker or you could do in a different way. It was like you are releasing the shackles whether you like it or not, and you're going to do it completely, and you're going to work through every single challenge that's holding you back. And one of the, I was going to say, biggest fears I had and a lot of authors had was about sharing their story and being judged for that. It's like, oh, everyone's going to see me as a victim. And nobody wants to be a victim, do they? And so one of the things that we all had to work through was, you know, if we share our story, what will happen? What will people do? How will people treat us? What will they say? You know, will they always remember as that person? Because that's the fear people have, isn't it? I'm not going to speak about it because people always remember me as that girl. And so I showed, you know, how you have to walk your talk. So I showed the authors by sharing different aspects of very, very personal stories and seeing what went on. And what went on was absolutely amazing. So instead of people reaching out and going, oh, you terrible poor person who victim and blah, 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 poor me, I had people reach out saying, thank you for writing my story. That's my story too. And now I can share that story to somebody I wanted to talk to about that and say, this happened to me too. And I had so many people, hundreds and hundreds of people come to me with similar comments like that, saying, thank you, you gave me permission to finally open up about something that I've been knowing I need to talk about and knowing I need to speak about, and you've given me that open. And instead of that judgment and that victimization coming to the fore, it was actually the complete opposite. It was that complete release and allowing and giving permission for everyone else to step into that, hey, you're not alone. And that was so incredibly powerful. And that was just, I was going to say, really momentous aspect of the journey.
That's wonderful, Susan. So great. And we've actually got one of the authors here, Kim. Kim says, one of the authors, I love the idea that releasing our own shackles will contribute to other women releasing theirs via donations to Broken to Brilliant. Yep. That's wonderful, Kim. Thank you so much for that comment. It really is a fantastic collaboration, and it's a platform. It's a platform to share. So giving permission and giving a platform to share a few thousand words each. How many words of each of the chapters?
About 3,000 words, about 10 pages.
3,000. 3,000 words each. Yep, fantastic. 17 authors from all over the place. Fantastic. And it is so inspiring when people share their challenges and how they've overcome it. And we've all had challenges, let's face it. Life is a roller coaster ride, right? We're going to be up here sometimes we're going to be right down here, sometimes we're going to feel like we're going round and round circles, sometimes we're going to feel like we're going backwards, right? But just stay on that roller coaster ride of life. And now more than ever, there is so much unpredictable stuff going on in the world. And now more than ever, it's important that we unite as people and that we share our truth and we speak our truth, because we never know when it's all going to be over, right? And something I noticed in your bio is that you love homegrown food, Susan. So can you tell us a bit about your passion for homegrown food?
Yes, so my husband and I had a small farm. And we had a huge veggie patch, and we had our own animals, and everything, I was going to say, hobby farmer or, would dream of. So we had it all. We had beautiful, I used to make so many pumpkin soups and homegrown bread, and we had our own chooks and eggs and all of those sorts of things. And I remember having so many pumpkins that I have to take them to the restaurants and the cafes in town so that they could so that I could sell them and give them away, so that we had just so many veggies that we'd grown. And just that being close to nature and being able to put a seed in the ground and watch that grow, and having your hands in the earth, that's what we were meant to be. We were meant to be in touch with our food process and our food development, and we were meant to be in community, sharing that oversupply and giving and sharing amongst each other. So we're developing that property. We created a lot of water security there, and then intuitively I knew that we needed to move on, and we moved 2.5 years ago, just before COVID hit, which was really fortuitous for us in one aspect, but we miss our farm, and that's that way of life was just I was gonna say, it's so easy in so many ways, because it's natural, it's normal. You eat with the seasons, you eat with what you have plentiful supply of, and you can be creative. Like, I used to use a bit of lavender with our lamb, and like different things that you wouldn't consider if you didn't have to be creative. And I used to love that, love creating lots of different types of combinations, and it was fun. That's kids run around free, and yabbies out of the dam, all of that fun stuff that you do when you've got a bit of space around you.
Yes, well, it's amazing what you can do with a small amount of space too, isn't it? When in creating, the veggie gardens at home, it's amazing. Like in places like America, they have the whole roof of the high-rise buildings that they turn into gardens. It's quite amazing what you can do with a small amount of space, and eating with the seasons really important too. So, one thing I recommend to everyone is compost. A simple thing like compost.
We've got a veggie patch in pots at the moment. We have the biggest supply of potted plants you would ever imagine, because we have so many different things, everything from fruit trees to lettuces and everything. We have so we've brought it with us, but it's completely different. Like you said, you have to be creative.
And I take my hat off to you, Susan, too, for all the work that you've done in the healthcare system, or some people call it the sick care system, right? Because they don't deal with people who are healthy, they deal with people who are sick, right? And there are many, many doctor errors that happen every year. This is a known fact. And for you as a nurse, doing what you can to give people some peace in, in that system for so long, and then choosing to step out of it as well is a huge thing after so long. So this is a massive change for
Yeah.
you to go from that to now doing books and sharing stories and actually leaving a legacy. With every book that you do, you're leaving a legacy for people, which is just beautiful. And you're already working on your next book, is that correct?
Absolutely. The next book is Stories of the Divine Feminine. It's called She Is. And yes, another amazing group of women. Every book has its own flow, its own theme, its own it attracts different people. And again, it's a completely different book to Release the Shackles, but just as powerful in so many ways. Yeah.
She is. Yes, the divine feminine is rising, my friends. You know,
Yeah.
we've got a balance coming back in, you know, and it's been long overdue. As much as we love the men in our lives, you know, it's the divine feminine. It's that loving energy, that loving healing energy. And I've got my little love heart here to remind everyone to always share love, because hurt people, my friends. And,
Yeah.
you know, if we don't end that generational pain with us, then that will carry on to our future generations. So, you know, do whatever it takes to release the shackles from your life. Now, something I've done, Susan, I've done a lot of personal development work over the years. I've done all sorts of different trainings. I've done, you know, a lot of mental trainings, a lot of emotional heart trainings, a lot of feminine trainings, a lot of all sorts of, you know, other world type trainings. I've done a lot of work on myself and venturing into other, you know, I've done medicine journeys and all sorts of different things to, you know, to expand my awareness, to expand my consciousness. These are just some things I've done. What are some things that you've done through your life to help release the shackles?
There's again so many. Yeah, it's been a life journey of exactly that. You could say I'm a personal development junkie.
Yeah. I can
I,
relate.
I was the person with the bookshelves full of personal development books before anyone knew what personal development was. I remember spending a lot of time going to crystal healing. I did a lot of work with crystal healing and really powerful work around crystal healing, so that working through all of that, because I built up some really hard shells around me to cope. Especially with different scenarios of what I went through. I really wanted to block off my intuition, because at different times when I was a child, my intuition was shouted down at so much, and it was to a point where it confused me. My intuition would tell me one thing, and the world and the people around me would tell me I was wrong. And so I needed to make sense of that. And in order to make sense of that, I felt that I was the problem. And so therefore I sought out every possible way I could to do personal development to fix me, because I thought that was where I was going wrong in the world. I've, you know, through everything that I've done, and I, you know, reading books, going to seminars, doing courses, lots of different types of healing modalities. I've worked on psychic development, and I can read tarot cards and do readings for people and that sort of stuff. But it's more, I was going to say, and medical intuitive stuff, especially through my work, that become very powerful as soon as I started to allow myself to give permission to have my intuition back. So all of that personal development was because my truth was being questioned, and I didn't see how I could feel a certain way and be told it was wrong. And so there's so many. It's been a lifelong journey of, and not just I was going to say personal development so much, but also, you know, I've done that many different types of university courses. I've got as many qualifications in nursing as you could just about get. I've got master's qualifications in midwifery, as well as community health and maternal and child health nursing. But also I've been an educator of nurses for many years, and I've done a lot of training and education around educating others and learning styles, and helping people to tap into what they are passionate about, what they're naturally gifted at, and what their skills are that come easily to them. Because, you know, I grew up in a world where anything that came easily to me was something that I was not to do. It was something I was to avoid, and I was told that life had to be really hard. And what I learned was that when I tapped into the things that I found really easy and that I enjoyed, it was just things flowed. And when I was doing the things hard, everything, I was hitting brick walls every single time. And through all of the personal development and all of the different study I'd done, I learned that that's something I can help others see too. So yeah, I ended my career in nursing education, and educating new people about what matters in the interaction between the nurse and the client. And what really matters is being heard and being present and listening to when you're in hospital, when you're in aged care, when you're in any healthcare setting, it's stressful. You don't want to be there. So ticking the boxes and following the procedures, that's absolutely vital. But being present and actually listening to the client is what they remember. They remember what you said, what you did, how you acted, how you treated them. That's what they remember. That's what really matters. So that was one of the key. And ask them. You know, I spoke in a conference. Let me think. It feels like a lifetime ago. Might have been 2008, and my topic was all around multiculturalism and working with people from lots of different backgrounds. And my message to everyone was around ask the client, what is their normal? How does their family work? What are the dynamics? What are the values and the roles and all of those sorts of things? How does that normally look? Then look at where we're coming from and meet in the middle. You can't tell someone how to be who they are. They know who they are, and they know what's important to them. And it's about, meeting in the middle and listening and teaching and educating from that point of view. And I mean, we live in a world where we often don't listen. We're so busy that we don't listen to each other. And when we stop and actually listen to each other, there's so much gold there. And there's so much opportunity for us to really connect. And I think that's something that there's going to be more and more opportunity to connect moving forward, because that value of being busy and that martyr image of always got to be and do and more, we're stepping away from that, because that's not working for us. It hasn't worked for us. It's just made us tired and sick.
Yes, so true. And I've definitely had that conditioning as well. You got to work hard for your money. I've had that going on. I know a lot of people have that, whereas actually, when you find your flow and you do more of what you enjoy, you get into joy, get into gratitude, get into do more of what you enjoy, the money will come, right? Love what you do, the money will come. And, a third of people die by the age of 65. So, if you're not doing what you love, then what are you doing? Don't just do something for the money, because the money can come in other ways. And if you do something just for the money, you're not going to stick with it. You're going to hate it. You're going to grind away at it. So do what you love, my friends, and lift your consciousness. And I will actually just point out Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness. This is something that I'd heard about for quite some time, but just more recently, this was presented to me. And Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness, now about 100 years ago, this is scientifically proven that we are 99.999% energy and vibration frequency. Now, when we vibrate in love, which is up here, we're at 528 hertz and above. Okay, joy and gratitude are at 540. Peace is at 600, and enlightenment is 700 plus. Whenever we get down here into anger is 150, fear is at 100, grief is at 75, guilt is 30, and shame is 20. Okay, so just notice, where are you vibrating at right now? We are human vibrators, right? Where are you vibrating at right now?
And we oscillate too, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yep. We do. We go up and down. We do go up and down. But the more you can hang out up here, and it's not natural to always hang out there. You're going to have times you're going to sink down here. But when you do sink down, then how quickly can you pull yourself through that and raise to a higher vibration? Because what will happen as you lift your vibration, you will attract more opportunities to yourself. You will have a greater experience of life. You will lift the energy of those around you. So it's so important to get into joy. Yes, sorry,
And that's
Susan.
exactly what the focus of this book is. It's how we rise back up. So, we've all got a story. We've all got something we've been through. And the more we share our stories, the less alone we feel. But it's all about how we rise back up. And it's how we're resilient and how we build back up to that, away from that area of shame and of anger, of blame, of all of that. It's how we rise back up. And how we rise back up to that love. And one of the things I said to all of our authors when they were writing the story is not to write it from a place of anger or a place of shame or a place of guilt or blame, but to write it how it is, with gratitude and forgiveness for what you've learned to help you rise back up. So, this is what went on. And because of what went on and what I learned about who I am through all of that, I'm now able to rise back up and be who I am and share and grow and teach others and all of that, focusing on the rising back up rather than the trauma and the bad and the negative and all of that sort of stuff that we really want to let go of, because that's not where we feel joy. It's not where we feel free. It's where we feel bound. And those are those shackles that we release when we rise back up.
Yes, and half the thing is to get conscious to what those shackles are and actually to realize that we are 100% responsible for creating those shackles, right? No matter how much, some people feel like the victims, like, things aren't fair. But actually, if you take on that we are 100% responsible for everything in life, that we attract certain experiences because we have certain learnings, and then be grateful for the learnings, because looking back on situations, often there's gifts to what has happened. It's just a matter of, can you see the gifts in what has happened? What can you be grateful for from those experiences when you felt the lowest at times? What can you be grateful for now? How has your pit turned into your purpose is a great saying too, right? How's your pit turned into purpose? And people on a mission have no competition, right? So what is your mission? And often these low points we have, often they lead to what we end up doing in life. Here I am inspiring truth and good news. Once upon a time, I've been, I've had depression. I've not wanted to be here. I've had 4 friends take their own lives by the age of 45. This is all part of my journey. I created a Good News Day after that. I created the Global Good News Challenge after that. So, if it wasn't for my friends taking their own life and for me feeling those low moments, I wouldn't have created those things. So, I'm so grateful that I knew those 4 people while they were on the planet. And I had the great opportunity to know them in the time they were here. And, it's sad that they've chosen to take their own lives. However, that was their choice. We have to respect their choice, right? And, the learning for me every time someone dies is to appreciate every single moment, because we never know when will be the last time that we will get to share, we will listen, where we can co-create with people, where we can just be, where we can be with people. And there's no coincidence that all the people come into your life when they do, right? No coincidences. These 17 authors are in this beautiful book you've created, Release the Shackles. So, yeah, that's just something to look at. So I love that, Susan. I love how you share that, share from a place of gratitude and of joy, of what, what the lessons are coming through that. I think that's absolutely beautiful. So we've got She Is the next book. Now, have you got spots for authors for that one?
No, it's absolutely full. But we are doing a volume 2 because there's been so much interest. Like you said, the divine feminine is rising. Women who've been subordinate are learning about, how to stand in their feminine power. And it's just so beautiful, the women that are coming forward. And so we are doing a volume 2. We're also doing collecting authors for another book called Lifting the Veil. So this one I've got some absolutely inspirational authors already joined. Aisha Patel is also going to do a chapter in that book, and it's about ancient wisdom. So it's about it's lifting the veil, what they don't want us to know, and it's really tongue-in-cheek, what they don't want us to know. It's actually what we've always known, but we've not allowed us to know, that ancient wisdom, and that we can tap into. And there's such a huge awakening in the world at the moment. People are not believing mass media like they always did, and they're going, maybe there's another way to live, maybe there's other options out there, and how do I tap into this this ancient wisdom? And so Lifting the Veil is about lifting the veil on ancient wisdom, and that's the other powerful book that we're collecting authors for at the moment. So She Is Volume 2 and Lifting the Veil are our next 2 books.
Fantastic. Wow. So you're on a roll now, Susan. There's no stopping you. The books are coming out thick and fast. So when do you plan to wrap up the author collaboration for those books?
Those books, end of January. So that's what we're looking at, end of January. And the plan is for She Is Volume 1 to be out before the end of January too. So.
Wow, fantastic. That is brilliant. And if people want to get involved, what can they do if they want to be in those books?
Send me a message. Absolutely. Send me a message on my Facebook. That's probably the easiest way, and I can send you the information.
Wonderful. And if you've had an author in one of the books, do you not want them in other books, or do you want new authors in each book, or do you have some that might go in a few?
It absolutely comes down to the individual author and their stories. We all have one of the beautiful things about multi-author books is that you're only sharing a snippet of your journey. And that's what makes it so easy and doable. It's like you said, it's not an onerous task of writing a whole book. So you're just sharing a snippet of your journey. And so if you've got, and you'll find a lot of people will have aspects of their journey that relate to different themes. So, if an author that's been in Release the Shackles or in She Is has a story that relates to Lifting the Veil, then definitely they can put in an application.
Beautiful. And I love, Susan, that you're married. How long have you been married for?
9 years. 9 years
9
in February.
years. Beautiful. And you got 3 beautiful children. So what are some of the secrets to having a happy relationship, happy family life? What are some of the keys there you've learned over the years of how to keep a great household?
Communicating, and that permission to be human. I've been really reflecting on that lately because this year has been the most challenging year ever. And seriously, there was times where I thought, our relationship is completely over. We're on different planes. We're in different worlds. But it's about that keep talking. And, we're all growing and learning. We're all dealing with challenges, and we're all human. We have times where we say and do things we wish we didn't say and do. We all have times that we are grumpy, that we don't want to do something, that, we're feeling blocked or changed, all of those things. And we're all our own person. And if you don't be your own person in a relationship, where else are you going to be it? So that, letting go of that codependency, but knowing that we're unique, powerful people in ourselves, but communicating, and that we're not always going to get along, and that we're not always going to be on the same page, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to everything else that you say and do, your actions and how you feel and what you're passionate about, that's what matters, and that's where you meet again, if you know what I mean. So it's that's what's powerful. And look, honestly, this whole move has been a huge challenge for us. We haven't got the space around us that we love. We've had huge financial challenges. We've had, like, me no longer nursing, lots of different identity changes about who we are. My husband's very much a farmer. It's in his blood. And now he's a gardener. And his whole world, he actually was an aged carer at one point. He's had to completely redefine who he is and his identity, and that comes with it lots of personal challenges. And within me, I've also gone through that. So within that, we've both had to change how we relate, what matters, all of those sorts of things, and keep listening to each other while we're growing. And that's normal, human, real, that you can't run away the first time someone says or says something that's not very nice, or you talk about it, you work through it, you be honest, you communicate, and you accept that it takes two. And I think that's the most, and working for the greater goal, having that bigger picture goal at the end, that's what our bigger picture goal is. And, we all have this idea of the stepping stones that we are going to get there. But the universe and divine order has its own pathway of what you need to learn in order to get there. And accepting that the only constant is change, and that you have to be able to roll with the punches, and you have to be able to adapt. And I was going to say, these last 2.5 years has definitely taught us how adaptable and how, capable we are to skip, hop and jump and do whatever we need to do to work towards that greater goal. I mean, I will say the last 2 months has been the most intense for us, because we've had to move house suddenly and completely unforeseen. And, and all of that brings up the surface, all of those different shackles that you go, what life is meant to look like, and what we think it should be, and how it should look, and how it should feel, and all of those sorts of things. And you work through that next layer. And I think for me, when you talk about relationships, people come into your life for a reason. People come into your life to either challenge you to step up, to be more of who you are, or they show you a side of yourself that you need to see. It's all about learning and growing. And I often talk, I was parenting child health nurse for a long time, and I often talk about how children come into our life and the different lessons they teach us about who we are and what really matters, and that they will absolutely mirror who we've been and what we do, and it's like completely accentuated. And the same in relationships. We'll challenge each other, and it's all about how you work through that and how you rise back up and how you communicate that makes it work. And it takes two. You can't just have one person doing the work and one person not. You've both got to engage in that, and it's tough, it's hard, and that's good. That's the way it's meant to be, because at the end it's so much more powerful. 6 months ago I wouldn't have said that my marriage was as strong as it is today.
Amazing. Yes, there's 3 C's of relationships, they say. There's commitment, compromise, and communication. And I'd say communication is the most important one, to be able to talk through things. They say, life is sharing, and it certainly is a lot more joyful when you have a great partner in your life who you walk beside, and who, you have shared projects, etc. Although with some people, they do grow apart, and if you're not growing together, you will grow apart. So, and having that self-love is so important. People look for a partner to give them joy, which partners can give you joy, but you've got to be happy within yourself too. You've got to have that. Have that.
I think
self-love.
It's really important to have a strong sense of self. So if you don't have your strong sense of self, then when you come together, you're not showing that self-love, and you're not respecting yourself, and you're not speaking up when you need to, and all of those sorts of things that value and honor yourself as well. So you're both two individuals with two individual personalities, likes, dislikes, passions, all of those things that come together, and together we're better, and together we can create more, and together it's that collaboration, and it's that that's what makes it so powerful. But if you don't honor yourself and your own self-love and your own skills and your own personal individual person, then those sorts of it becomes codependent, and someone's compromising too much, and that's where there's resentment and all of those lower vibrations start to come into it. It's got to be both people standing true to who they are.
So true. I love that. And giving each other the space to do what they love to do too. So many people in relationships kind of feel like they're being smothered by the other partner, that people like leaning on each other rather than walking a path like this. So I think that's wonderful that you've kept it together through all these challenges, Susan, and not only that, you're birthing all these books in the next year is so exciting. Yes. And I love that. I love that everything you're saying is just so perfect. And I do wonder, some people can be very hard on themselves, right? And some people, when they might be considering doing a chapter book, right, and they might think to themselves, geez, where do I start with my story? Which story do I choose to share, right? So what do you say to people who might be a bit stuck on what to share and how to share it?
So I send all of the authors a bit of a writing guide, and there's two parts to that. One is about, looking at your entire life timeline, and that's basically for you to get around your key moments in your life and what sort of transitions did you have, where did you pivot, what are those key moments, and then looking at the theme. And really the best writing is what comes through intuitively, what you need to say at that moment in time and what needs to be released. And everyone says what they need to say in the way that they need to say it. You've got your own voice and you need to own that own voice. It's not a competition. It's not, it's not about that sort of stuff. It's about owning your own voice and stepping into your truth and just letting it flow. The specifics around the technical stuff around editing and making it sound like a chapter and like an author, leave that up to us, leave that up to the editor and to me, and we can work on that. But get the story out, get your truth out however it flows. And once it's out on paper, then we can work with that. And there's no right or wrong around that. It's about owning that and giving yourself permission to just let it spill out. And some people go, I can't type very well, or I'm not a very good writer, or I lose my words. So for those people, I just say speak your chapter. I mean, there's so many great transcripting apps now. You can just speak your chapter, and then we can go back through and fix up the written dialogue afterwards. It's often it's easier to talk than it is to write for some people. We're in a much more of a digital age these days, where we're spending more time speaking and live and those sorts of things, more video. So for some people, speaking their chapter is one of the easiest ways to get started. Just start telling your story. So I have in the writing guide, I have a few question prompts, and sometimes if you get stuck, have a look at what the question is and start talking about that. It helps you to create. And one of the other ways I often talk about is just to set the scene. Where are you now, and how did you get to be where you are now?
I love that. So cool. And everyone has a story, and it's very easy also for people to compare their stories with others. And the thing is your uniqueness is your story. Your X factor is your story. It's not about better stories or worse stories. It's your journey, and sharing your journey is where you leave a legacy every time you share your story. And the compilation book is a great way to leave a legacy for your family, for your friends, to share parts of your story. So it's so exciting, Susan. I really want to congratulate you massively for this great achievement. The first of many, the international launch today of Release the Shackles, and proceeds going to Broken to Brilliant. So 24 hours only, you can pick up the book for just 99 cents all around the world. The links will be in the comments, or just look up Release the Shackles and you'll find it on Amazon for 99 cents. We're coming up to the hour now, Susan. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up, or any words of wisdom that you live by that you'd like to share?
Well, probably what I really want to say is how grateful I am for each of the authors who have come forward to contribute their chapters. Without them, this book would not have been possible, and without their bravery and their honesty and vulnerability, it wouldn't have the power that it has. So I absolutely heartfelt thanks to every single author who's contributed and made, because it is without them, this book wouldn't have happened. So, it is their stories and their truth that has created this baby in that Release the Shackles. And so I thank them from the bottom of my heart. Absolutely.
Yes, congratulations to all our authors, and I'll put them up on the screen again here. Here we have it. So we've got Angelique Pellegrino, Susie Evans, Sherri Reed, Caroline Watson, Justine Martin, Susan, of course, yourself, Charlotte Foote, Samantha J, myself, Angie Hagen, Kim Savige, Nicole Lemaster, Meredith Heppell, Sharon Lafort, Danielle, Gale, Carmela F, and Sandie Maree. Congratulations to all the authors in this beautiful collaboration. Release the Shackles. Well done. You have now left a legacy with this book and so many other opportunities with VBM Publishing shining light and truth on the world with a beautiful publishing company coming out of the Sunshine Coast and collaborating with authors all over the world. Any final words, Susan?
No, just thank you for the opportunity, Aldwyn, to share our message today.
Thank you so much, and congratulations once again. So for those watching, thank you so much for watching today. Let us know where you've joined us from. What are you grateful for today? Let us know in the comments. And if you like what you've seen, share the love. Subscribe to Media Queen TV if you haven't already. There's over 750 inspiring videos on there now. Also, we have several upcoming events. We have the Free Publicity Secrets Masterclass coming up in January, and we have the Social Media Masterclass in February. We have an Animal Action Day for Dogs coming up December 30. We're doing a fundraiser for SEQ Canine Rescue. That will be an online event, so you can go to Animal Action Events Facebook page to find out all the details about that. And we have the Global Good News Challenge, back to a one-day challenge for January. So here's to a wonderful festive season for all those who've joined us. Thank you so much for joining us. Christmas is just 5 days away, my goodness. And then the new year, new beginnings, and celebrating this beautiful full moon we've had, and Release the Shackles. Congratulations once again, Susan, and all the authors. So exciting, and can't wait to see how this goes, as well as their future books coming out. And if you do want to be an author in a future book, then reach out to Susan. There are opportunities there in some of the books that she's mentioned. So if you want to leave your legacy and leave part of your story with the world, then here's your opportunity. Thanks once again, Susan. Thanks for joining us. Have a beautiful day or night. As Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world. And as I say, shine bright and light up all those around you. Well done, Susan. We'll see you again soon. Bye.